right on time like we always are. Welcome to Breachers Season 4, Week 6 of the VRML. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster Plague. Dr. Plague, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing great tonight, Nightfire. Just got home from, running out for the day, coming back in and relaxing with some high-intensity Breachers gameplay.
Yep.
I'm excited to get into it.
Same. We are just about ready to dive into our first map of the afternoon. We've got Eternity and Complexity in lobby, and we're going to take a quick look at matchup history with Complexity coming in as a kind of relative unknown, at least this season. Plague. We haven't really watched any of their games yet in Season 4.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton for them, but they've been doing relatively well throughout the season overall. They've done a good few challenge matches. They played on Maul, which we haven't seen a lot of teams play on because a lot of teams are banning it, including in this matchup. However, we have seen apparently a good few Arctic and Hideout from them, and they play very well on those maps. So I think those are some top contenders to see for our first map.
And Hideout is where we kick things off this afternoon between these two teams, as we're already ready to dive into map number 1. Eternity on the defense, Complexity on the attack. And, excited to jump into some top-tier Breachers. Both these squads coming in at that diamond tier this afternoon, Plague, and I think we can expect to see some pretty coordinated efforts this afternoon.
I think 100% we can. It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams approach it. I haven't seen either of these teams play too often. I've seen Eternity play a few times. However, they have some people on there. We have, obviously, Ibis, the droner, but I don't see a drone in his hands. We have a good few bits of utility coming out. Obviously, we don't see a drone in his hands. I just realized because, obviously, they're on the defense. But we are going to see, it looks like Complexity going for possibly a roof hatch into the point. We'll see how this goes.
Diving down into our opening hatch with a little drone work, assessing the outside scenario for A site and not finding a whole lot. Static emitter and the defenders tucked into A site will be most of the resistance for Complexity. Otherwise, should be able to get up to the outside of A relatively free.
You see Weirdo shooting out the drone, denying the information for these Complexity players. Jay moves up with Sparks. Sparks does have EMP. They're ready to go to push into A. As wall gets phoned, Weirdo pushes up towards the wall. He might be trying to go for a quick push out if the wall does blow. He gets seen, takes out the EMP, drops a smoke. Now EMP is down, tries to get some more bangs off. Nearly takes out Kakro with a nade as J-Bro pushes down behind. And we're seeing Eternity picking apart this offense from Complexity.
Another kill for J-Bro as they continue to barrel forward, pick up another headshot. TikTok is coming in. I don't know what. I don't know how else to say that name.
We just have Keone. We just have Keone in B point, now having to face 4 players. J-Bro and Lynx have barely enough health to add up to 1 player. However, with 4 players versus 1, they all have Spectrals. They do also have an Incendiary, and interestingly, they go straight for an Incendiary to connector, maybe just expecting someone will be back there. Trying to block it off. Not much of a chance for Keone. He's kind of stuck in the point. He doesn't have a stem, so he could just go for picks. This would be a great opportunity to go for picks, but I think peeking from the connector after that Incendiary goes through is not... I don't know about peeking through that into that 8-point connector after they pre-Incendiary. Clearly, they had a thought that he was coming from that connector, Nightfire. I feel like maybe it would have been a better idea to go under the hatch.
Yeah, either way, a nice opening defensive sequence there coming in from Eternity. That wall cracks open, and there's an opportunity for Sparks to catch Weirdo on the short corner. But Weirdo winning that fight kind of sets things off for them on defense, and only having 1 go down, pretty good for Eternity on their pistol set, but it is the pistol opener. We're going to go into round 2, and so far, 30 seconds left, pretty minimal buy coming in from Complexity. Some teams opt to go for that SMG purchase, even if they have lost the round. Other squads will tend to go for the eco, and I think they're going to kind of go with, shifting into the SMGs as the round start gets closer here. I mean, I guess probably just spending that time talking with each other. What are we buying? Well, who's getting what? And then picking that up before the start of round 2.
we're seeing a very garage-heavy defense from Eternity, maybe even an offensive defense, I would almost say. They have many people in garage trying to hold it down, static on the door to make sure they can't get flanked out, as well as one on theater. Ivis is ready just in case someone tries to push in front door. Kingly does take out J-Bro from on top of a rappel. They're trying to get into garage. Ninja is ready. Lynx takes out Keone. To get any other kills off, but right now we see Eternity very far off the point, trying to commit just to a, you know, not even letting Complexity enter the building. It seems to be working out so far.
Swapping weapons with each other. A couple of kills coming in. Ninja with a slice of HP, trying to catch an angle over the tops. This Lynx does push forward, gets aggressive, and flies out that doorway on the hunt for more. As they know, Kingly is alone outside, and with a little bit of slice of HP left, they're not too worried about going down. Another 4 left alive to the 1 of Complexity, and maybe a welcoming moment from a top-tier squad like Eternity to the Complexity team.
They did get Ninja Tim taken down. However, this is about the same situation that Keone found himself in on the last round. A 1v4 down to a 1v3, but it's a rough situation to be in, Nightfire, for anyone, but especially for someone who's already down in economy. It just feels bad to save, but you need to get every bit of economy you can. If you can pick up that EMP, you might be able to get a plant down, but it's a rough prospect. I would almost say either saving, like he seems to be doing, or trying to get a pick, you know, going towards garage, drawing a player out into garage, taking them out, and then just getting out. If you can just cancel out some of the momentum for Eternity, it could pay off in spades in the future.
I mean, honestly, at this point, icing them for 40 seconds is kind of nice. You know, you slow things down for them. They've gotten into a rhythm with their pistol opener, and 2 down, not terrible. Kingly up 2-1, brings home the SMG and a little bit of utility. It's a decent overall play outside of just kind of sending it into Eternity, letting them keep that pace. The rhythm stays in their favor. They go right into the next round. So, I don't know. The eco, while certainly a little dull for us to tune into on the spectator side, definitely valuable on a lot of different elements in terms of maybe how it can impact the Eternity defense and what Complexity will be able to do with it. But it is Eternity up 2-0 off of a solid defensive hold again, and now I don't know that there's going to be a full buy yet from Complexity because they didn't connect with enough kills. They could maybe go hero buy with Kingly, and he could pick themselves up a rifle, try and go for those long range kills in the back line while the rest of the team pushes up, or just kind of keep things light, run that SMG, and get ready for rounds 4 and 5, the back half of their attacking set on this map.
I do have to say, on the last round, I'm somewhat surprised to see the patience from Eternity. We've seen a good few top teams this season. As soon as there's one player left, they push outside. They just go all the way trying to take out that last player. We saw a good amount of restraint from Eternity, allowing them to stay on the point, not go down any health, not go down any, you know, unfortunate 1v1s, taking down guns or utility. They stayed restrained, they stayed on the point, they kept all their util, and that is going to work out for them really well in the end. We do a Weirdo on 3rd floor, maybe going for a balcony peek to get a cheeky pick off. Might take down EMP if Complexity is not careful, as he is ready, and he will be able to see, I believe, Keone with the EMP if they're not careful. Drone is going out, wall is foamed on B. They're just waiting for that wall to blow, I believe, as a nade comes out from top floor. What is the plan for Complexity? They're very spread out. Keone goes down to that peak from Weirdo with the Marui, and Weirdo takes his health and books it back to the point. Probably a good idea. Might get seen by Jay. Does get taken down by Jay through the wall.
Kill for a kill. Not so bad for the under-kitted squad of Complexity, catching an even playing ground still. And, yeah, I guess not a huge buy coming in from Eternity either. Kind of sticking with Orals. Lower tier rifles, and gets one Marui in that equation, and another one from Weirdo as well. Now that's gone. I wonder, yeah, it does get picked up by Sparks, so that's a pretty big add into the squad. Link's gonna send it, and nice overwatch from Sparks.
I'm not quite sure what the plan was with the push there from Lynx. think maybe he didn't think there were multiple people out on that wall, and unfortunately did not pay off. A great pickup for Complexity. That is now a second Orill they can now use along with the Marui. Kingly pushes in, takes out Ninja Tim. Sparks takes down J-Bro. With that Marui, it is just Ivis on the back hallway. Trying to take out Catgirl. Does not get seen, but they know where he is. Pushes out into storage, gets pushed by two players, and gets taken down. Almost a flawless from almost a flawless from Complexity, Nightfire.
I know, I was going to say, look who's in the 1v4 now. It's Eternity, and not for long. A solid win from Complexity when they needed it most. A big bounce back on Economy, and Eternity are in a bit of a tough situation. A do or die, really, for what could be the rest of this half on defense. They're going to have to go big this round, invest nearly all of their dollars on utility, and half a kit, across the board. While on the other end, their Complexity taking home, the huge investment that Eternity put in. They're picking up their rifles, they got the Orals, the Maruis, and look at their cash value. For the next 3 rounds, they're going to be in good shape on Economy. So Complexity actually in a really good spot here. If they can lock this round in, they're really going to be putting Eternity in a hard spot for the rest of this half.
They really are. They're ready to push in on mid-floor. We've seen this once before. We'll see if they do the same play again. I'm honestly somewhat worried about the lack of utility on Eternity. I might have sacrificed maybe that Cadillo in order to get more grenades, or at least a smoke or an incendiary. They're already using a frag out on Garage, which is going to be used as $200 down for Eternity. They're low on a lot of money. We saw the two-round loss come into the advantage for Complexity, actually, because now they're up on money quite a bit, having to contend with a bunch of rifles. Well, ooh, Jay doesn't check his corner, gets taken out by J-Bro and Ivis. That's an important pickup. Kingly tries to get the refrag, does get the refrag on Ivis. A great pickup for his team. That's that Maruri dropped on the ground. But he doesn't watch it. Oh, and the Maruri gets taken.
Tucked into a 3v3 now. Complexity going to try and make some magic happen as Ninja Tim catches the angle on Keone. The duo working their way over towards B site. Incendiary goes down the hall. No one is down the hall. They'll find that out. With another instinct goes to the back line. That girl trying to swing out here on a Ninja Tim. Lynx, J-Bro all tucked in and awaiting the push on to B. A site needs to be the play, but they're all locked in over here right now with EMP getting tossed over to Kingly and maybe a rotation to A site coming through.
We're seeing a flash be tossed in. Lynx takes out Catgirl with that Cadillo. Suddenly, it's just Kingly with an Orill. Both of the rifles, that Marui that they had, is just down. Kingly is almost to the bottom. Ninja Tim has had some fantastic wall bangs in this entire game. Gets taken down by some great Orill shots, but Kingly gets ambitious. Takes out one, gets taken out by J-Bro. The triple push almost didn't work out for Eternity, but they barely got that off.
Yeah, a heck of a multi-kill there. That was with minimal HP, a 360. There's a 180 spin there at one point where Kingly comes around, does a 360, turns around, finds another kill. I don't know if they were just showing off hitting that 360, but definitely threw off the defense from Eternity and nearly ended with us being 2-2, and that would have been a disaster, as you see Kingly showing the spin technique there. But still not too bad at the end of the day, too. I mean, one left alive. You minimize the economy carry through for Eternity. They're still hurting on their overall economy and a full buy coming in. So this is a pretty big one. This could lead to a 3-3 half or potentially a 5-1 for Eternity.
Top floor, this might decide it. Full buy over on Complexity. They're really trying to get anything off they can, which will work very well for them. But we're seeing a full buy on the other side as well. It's mostly even odds. Good bit of gunfire already coming out, trying to deny any entry at all to these Complexity players. Can Eternity get this defense off? They're quite spread out throughout the points.
I think they're just kind of trying to poke and prod at this defense rotating in. You can see Ivis putting rounds through multiple walls just to kind of throw off any push, seeing if they catch any hit markers through that wall, which would indicate that there is players there, obviously, that they're being pushed in. So in that case, Weirdo does catch some hit markers onto Jay. Another incendiary around the corner. Chunks them down to half health. A quick heal up, a quick jump down again through the wall, and that one was nearly bad news. Still 5-5, though, as Jay tucks back in. Everyone alive and well on Complexity.
I have to say, the wall bangs we've seen from Eternity are really good. They seem to have some great lineups for the walls. Ninja Tim, I believe, has gotten maybe 2 bangs on the wall. A great incendiary coming out, nearly taking Jay down a good bit of health. Some great game sense, honestly, from this Eternity crew, especially Blinks pushes out, takes out Catgirl on the stairs. Jay tries to get the refrag, barely can't get in. Whittling down the offense from Complexity. Eternity is just really dug in on these points. Lynx is behind the bathtub, Weirdo is behind the bomb. A nade maybe could flush them out, but the problem is there's not really any throwables left over on Complexity. They can't flush Weirdo and Lynx out. They have to push in manually.
Nice, Keon picking up a big kill, a refrag from Lynx as we trade back and forth, a double for Lynx on site as we bump down to a 3-2. Marui's across the board on the battlefield.
Lynx is behind the bathtub. Tough situation for Kingly and Sparks. They're down around. They can still get this. They aren't down really too much health. They're going to get back to 100. 2 Maruis. If they can keep their distance, it might work out very well. But they need to be able to gain some ground, especially as Ninja takes out Sparks. Just a bot walk and then a small crouch will get that off. Kingly looks to be trying to push in. Lynx is ready on the wall. Ninja Tim gets ambitious, pushing up a little. You know, gets a little aggressive. Kingly's just waiting for that aggressive play. Ninja Tim maybe a little impatient, but he can be. You know, look at that time. They can afford it. If you look at their money, they'll be able to afford these rifles. Weirdo will most likely get enough. Ibis will get enough. And right now, Complexity's economy is going to be a little bit in shambles. They're going to be able to get rifles somewhat across the board, but not Marui's overall, not Vezan's overall. They're going to have to do a bit of a patchwork buy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, fully kitted out defense from Eternity off of a nice multi-kill on the defense. Weirdo getting chunked down right away, but Lynx clutching up, picking up 2 on site and stopping what could have been a pretty decent push into a site. So again, a pretty clutch multi-kill at the end of the day, and I think that's what you see a lot of at the high tier is big clutch moments. These players exceptionally good across the entire roster for most cases on these teams, and any one of the players capable of stepping up and, locking in a clutch 4-0 victory or something like that. We've seen some great multi-kills, a near triple kill there just a few rounds ago in Garage. So it's all, anything really is possible. That's the beauty of watching what is 2 very high-tier teams right now. If you look at matchup history, both squads coming in at the Diamond tier in Week 6. Eternity at a 2-3 record, playing since Season 0, coming with a little more history there. And wow, that was a quick kill as Keon goes down to Weirdo holding the line and sets Eternity up for a nice 5v4.
Yeah, I think what's working in Eternity's favor is they aren't doing all of the normal strats that a lot of people do. A great nade from Ninja to take out Jay. But they're not going for, sometimes you see a pre-nade from top floor. Sometimes you see maybe a laundry peek. That's more a pub play rather than a competitive play. But you're seeing Eternity just go back to the tried and true bread and butter of a lot of these teams. They hold down storage, they hold down back hallway, and they stay on B with 1 player on A. It allows them to have a very versatile defense that they can change around. There's a reason it's the meta defense. It's because it works out extremely well, and a lot of times they have a good amount of cover, they have a good amount of areas where they can go. And especially, we actually see Eternity making use of the recently legalized clone projectors, where before you couldn't use them, and now you can, and it's a great way to, just bait out gunfire, figure out where people are, and waste ammunition so that someone has to reload. That's important, is killing people while they're reloading is really nice because it makes so they can't fire back. You can push as much as you want.
A little bit of a exchange of bullets down this hallway as Ibis tries to hold things down. The push from Kingly comes in. They're going to have a short corners battle here soon enough as Kingly comes out on top, and just like that, it's 3-3. Quick fight back from Lynx. Evens the odds as they pop out to get aggressive. The push now located inside of this basement room and not outside.
A great peekaboo play from Lynx as he pushed out, killed 1, pushed back in. It's the way to do it. Wall is blown. Kingly takes out Lynx. Will he check his corner? Weirdo is on the left, waiting very patiently. Jbro is behind the box. A great setup. They can cover each other's crossfire. Weirdo is up on the box. Sparks peeks around. Kingly is extremely low, and this is the round before switch. They're going to have to do something. They want to get this off.
20 seconds.
Great positioning from Eternity. 18 seconds left on the clock. Complexity has to push in. Will they check their corner on the way in?
Tries to hold things down, tries to shut down the push. There's a nice snap up from Sparks. They're going to go for the kills, and it's Jbro that locks it in. The half goes the way of Eternity. But it's not over. While it was a solid defensive opener from them, I felt like Complexity started to settle into a little rhythm there towards the back half. And maybe they can ride that going into their defensive opener here on the pistol round. Avoid that map point, which is what they could be headed to if Eternity win this pistol round. And at the bare minimum, they've got their foot in the door with that single offensive point they did manage to secure. So not too bad coming in from Complexity. I mean, look at the KDs. We actually see that there have been a couple of kills getting scooped up from both sides. Eternity obviously leading the charge there, 5 and 1, and you can see a nice spread on kills across the board, except for Ivis. And then over there on Complexity, again, a nice spread with Kingly coming in at 9 kills on the board so far, nearly hitting double digits and actually leading the lobby in kills. So, keeping it close. We've come down to some 1v2s, a couple of 4v1s, but that's gone both ways so far in this back and forth. And I'm just impressed with Complexity performing against Eternity as a very experienced top-tier team.
Ready to push in. A lot of smokes going down. A util dump completely on pistol round from Eternity. Really They're using it to their great advantage. EMP is already down. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. First 15 seconds, EMP is down. Ivis takes down Jay. It's a very quick push from Eternity that'll work out extremely well. 4v5. It's not over yet for Complexity. Jbro is on the corner. Logo push it on Catgirl, takes him out. Still not too bad, but I think they're overcommitting to this push, but they need to do something. Hatch is on. Sparks gets taken down. Now it's just Catgirl who takes down one, gets taken out by Weirdo. A very quick push from Eternity that works out well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nightfire. Was that a first 10-second plant?
Yeah, it was really nicely done. They barreled through main doorway there on the bottom of the site. Instantly into lobby as a team, taking control of the top floor to breach that hatch, and then pretty quickly breaking down that defense wall. So it was just very little time for what was a heavy B stack defense to rotate to A. And I mean, even that is impressive, just how quickly they sprinted into the corner, and everyone that was stacked B in garage, anticipating that garage meta push, had to crash over to A, and they were just too late to get there before that EMP was planted. So a really good play from Eternity. Their offense obviously on point here this afternoon, at least on their opening round, and I'm very interested to see now with SMGs in their hand how they're going to be sprinting at their opponent in round 8.
You can see Complexity feeling the pressure a little bit. They have some nades, but a lot of it is just they're buying as much as they can. They have no pretense of saving. They're not trying to do any of that. They're buying RCPs, Vipers, and Omens as they can afford them. Not much else, because they know they need to defend this. I think playing as a team is going to work out for Complexity very well. They have a roamer on bottom floor. We'll see if that works out, but I feel like having point central defense will work very well. You know that teams like Eternity are going to be pushing towards A, not B. If you have a more centralized defense, it'll work out better. Right now, they're splitting their players up, I think, a little bit too much. It might not work in their favor. We'll see if it does, however. A wall is about to be blown as Eternity gets some information with the drone, doesn't get taken down. Wall is phoned, and 4 of these Eternity players are ready to push in hard and fast. Lynx with the Aril, trying to push in, throwing an incendiary and a smoke in the back, nearly in the point already.
Nice nade from Kingly, does connect onto Ivis. Another Incin to slow down the push, allow Kingly to push in. Kingly nearly going down to his teammates Incin as they back off. Another Incin comes in from Ninja Tim, perfectly bounced into that back corner, and that will catch what was the few slices of HP left for Kingly. Still, defense up 4v3.
Rotate.
And the rotation right into the defense. Jay connecting with one and finding more.
I think, unfortunately, I think on the flank, he got a little bit too greedy, tried to go for the gun on the ground, didn't have his gun up, and got shot for it.
Sparks.
Now, a good rotate, a fantastic rotate from Eternity, actually, transferring this from a, unfortunately, not a good plant to having the EMP down and also claiming the entire backup point for themselves.
Sparks was so close. If they had just kind of committed to the corner peek, could have likely denied the EMP plant. Instead, the duo's going to have to work together up towards Lynx here. He's tucked in the back corner. Finds the first one. Sparks knows that Lynx is back there. Knows there's a duo as the wall opens up in chaos ensues. Team kill on the back line from Weirdo. Sets things up for Sparks to potentially win the 1v1 as Weirdo drops off. Sparks going to have to find the EMP defuse. Weirdo pushing up. Plenty of time to interrupt it and catches the elbow for what is map point for Eternity.
That's game. Or that's map. Dang. Well done to Eternity. They got that off relatively quick. This was a quick matchup so far.
Yeah, I think solid hold on the defensive half coming in from them. I mean, again, you look at the matchup highlights. We've got a couple of good ones from this series. Multi-kills coming in from J-Bro and solid defensive holds on site. Solid offensive plays coming in from Complexity at the end of the day, but Eternity very clearly proving their comfort on Hideout with how good their offensive half looked. I mean, they really were sprinting at Complexity once they got those 2 rounds to go. And yeah, to your point, a pretty quick 7-1 at the end of the day. But a fun one to tune into nonetheless, and impressive to see Complexity doing what they did against this squad that is Eternity. I do think we may be going into a
server change.
Yeah, server change, a technical timeout. We'll sort things on our end, but when we come back, it will be map number 2 of this best of 3. It could be the final map if Eternity have anything to say about it, pushing their record up to 3-3 and Complexity to 4-4. Both squads will be even and probably potentially swap in overall ranking. But either way, a big map 2 coming up. Eternity on a roll. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.
Prepare to start.
Only Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Spot
in the bottom, going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Match point.
Welcome back, everybody. Complexity versus Eternity. Dueling it out on our second map on Arctic. My name is Nightfire. I'm joined by my co-caster, Plague Doctor, and Plague. I mean, what are we thinking here with Eternity starting off on defense, Complexity on the attack, and Eternity coming off of a strong 7-1 map win?
Eternity had some great gameplay on the last map. We saw them put out a strong showing on Hideout. We saw quite a bit of utility from Eternity, and I'm excited to see how they're going to be using that on defense. Arctic is a huge map for utility. You know, if you use smokes, you can block off entire hallways. Use incendiaries. Obviously, they don't last as long as they used to. They last 10 instead of 15 seconds, but that is still 10 seconds you can completely deny entry for teams. And with the gunplay from Eternity, they have some fantastic corner bangs. They have some fantastic lean peaks. Arctic is rife with opportunity. I'm excited to see what they utilize their utility for in this case.
All right, back into it we go for the first round of the second map, and already Ivis running into a little bit of resistance as the Complexity team comes sprinting in. Could it have been the map pick that was leading to Complexity's lack of comfort? I don't know. Hideout definitely seems to be somewhere that Eternity's comfortable with, especially considering the fact that they've been around since Season 0 and the map's been around since Season 0. That's probably one of their more familiar spaces. But Arctic, a little less so maybe an opportunity for Complexity to find a rhythm, but Ivis already opening things up with an early kill through the wall.
Say, on paper, you know, talking about that, on paper, Complexity was favored rather than Eternity for that map. Complexity had a 58% win rate. Meanwhile, Eternity only had a 57%. A great flank watch from Sparks will take out Lynx on the stairs. That will be a valuable kill. Now it is a 4v3 with the 3 players now on B point. They know there's going to be a push in. Jbro takes out Jay very quickly, but he's down to only 1 health. Now Initiative takes out Kingly, tries to push out, gets taken out. He doesn't check his corner. Weird takes out Keone. Sparks takes out Jbro. 1v1. Sparks is extremely low. Can he get a good head tap? And Weirdo finishes it out, winning Eternity their first round, but it was very close, honestly. That could have gone either way.
A trend that I think continues in from map number 1. Despite the scoreline showing 7-1, the kill leader was on Complexity's side towards the end of that series, or end of that map. So it's definitely a team that's fought back most of these rounds to a pretty good degree, and that was definitely, again, what we've been seeing kind of consistently at this point from Complexity. We'll see how round 2 goes, rather, with their SMGs in hand, but it is definitely a committed buy coming in from Complexity with the 4 Omens.
Yeah, I feel Complexity doesn't want a repeat of last time. We saw Complexity when they lost Pistol around last time commit to maybe a couple Omens. They had some pistols as well. Now they're full committing to Omens. They have a Breaching Foam, 2 Incendiaries, no frags. We don't necessarily need frags on Arctic. There's big spaces that the nades can roll very far away, unlike on Hideout a lot of the time, where you can get it into a corner or beneath a table. You need a good coverage on this. Complexity has some great coverage utility. They're looking to push in on the back. However, Jbro is inside the back room. Hopefully they check their corner. Jbro pushes out. The drone can't ping them in time. Jbro takes out 2 immediately.
Really aggressive shutdown by Keone at the end of the day, but 3-2. Oh, quick refrag there from Lynx to keep things in favor, and they're just barreling out towards this Complexity team, pushing out of the entry doorways, and I mean, honestly, predicting the push pretty nicely. That was nearly a triple kill on the push out of that doorway.
Some great instincts from Jbro that we saw. He went to push out. He saw the drone come through and he realized he had 2 choices. Do I run away or do I run out? And he decided to run out, which was a great decision. If he made that split-second decision before the drone could ping him, he can get valuable kills off. That worked out so well. 3v2, and the gun difference is stark, Nightfire. We have an Orill over on Eternity, an RCP, and an Omen. Meanwhile, it's just 2 Omens and an Incendiary here in Complexity. We'll see if they can get it off with a little bit of a thrifty win, as Lynx is itching to push into the back hallway through that smoke.
Foam's going to go down. They'll take a little damage for their trouble. In fact, they'll cost their life as Kingly now alone in the 1v3. The foam is down on the wall, though, so the option to break it is there if they can go retrieve it from their dead body. They also need to get the EMP, so they need to be heading over there anyway. But 1v3, not impossible. A second wall going to get broken here, and Weirdo could get caught off guard. Ivis gets connected under the head, and the push coming in from the 3 left alive. Kingley trying to hold things down, but good coordination prevails in a situation like this, and Eternity have definitely been showing that this afternoon. Surrounding around the last alive, and ultimately taking a 2-0 lead. But, I mean, the fact that they bought into Omen's Plague means that they do have a little cash here going into the round 3.
They do. And I have to say, with that push, I don't know, in that way, in that round, rather, when you're the last alive, you have 3 left, and you know it's an aggressive team like Eternity, I almost would play picks. If you back up to the stairs, they have to funnel through a single doorway rather than be able to surround you. I feel like playing picks might have been my play there, because now Complexity has to get this off. They have a little bit of money from the Omens, but Eternity can run away with their economy. We see them getting an Aril. We see them getting a Vezin and a Marui, RCP from Weirdo, and another Aril from Lynx. You know, they have a lot to work with in the way of utility and guns. Meanwhile, Complexity really has to choose one or the other. One important thing is we see stems on both sides, which is going to be very, very important to be able to keep their players up. We've been seeing them use those already. I've seen a lot of top teams not really use stems until they have full rifle kits, and I feel like it's a bit of a misplay sometimes. Ooh. Ninja Tim gets some great... Oh! Trip mine kill from on Sparks. Oh,
yeah,
no.
They went in front of the drone. Always a risky play there, but the drone didn't catch anything anyway, so likely would have gotten picked up by that trip mine regardless. Always got to pay attention to your feet, especially when you're on stairs, and I don't know specifically where they went down, but yeah, down early, not ideal for Complexity. The 4v5 here, quickly a 4v3 as Ninja Tim scoops up another.
3v5, potential for a flawless if Complexity is not careful. Catgirl is ready on the window and kitchen. Nearly gets seen. Ivis does nearly get taken down, but he's fine. Jay takes down J-Bro, so flawless not possible anymore. But 3v3 now. Lynx takes out Ninja Tim with a nade. Oh no.
I think the
but
nade
EMP is down. EMP is down in theater.
Ooh. Nice pickup from Catgirl. Keeps things close. Jay holding back the rotation to EMP, so they should be able to scoop it up and continue on with their push into a 2v2, which ain't too bad. Marui in the hand of Jay and an Oral in the hand of Catgirl up against an SMG and a Vezin. They've got the better kits overall.
Rotate being called. Catgirl going for the plant while Jay pushes up to block off the rotate. Can Ivis get through this vent? I feel like, yep, we have Weirdo going through on Laundry. Ivis just waiting on the vent for his opportunity. Jay does get naded out, which means Ivis can push in. Ivis is now fully in the point, gets taken out. Weirdo takes out Catgirl, 1v1. Oh, the RCP kill onto Jay. That is not a favorable matchup any day, but he got that off.
Big clutch at the end of the day, and Eternity stay in it. Weirdo coming in on the final moments with a big kill, and coming away with 2 L syringes and a Marui is also pretty good. That's a pretty valuable add to their life, and ultimately Eternity in the driver's seat. As we look back on the replay, a nice hold from the duo defending both their lines as Jay connected with their kill and then tried to transfer for Weirdo. Nearly had them. Weirdo with a slice of HP. They actually quickly healed with a health syringe after they went down to what was about 20, maybe even a little less of HP. So pretty close exchange at the end of the day, but goes the way of Eternity. And yeah, it's a tough one to swallow if you're Complexity coming off of that 7-1 loss and what was 2 very fast offensive rounds against them.
Yeah, and we're seeing Eternity again. They're committing quite a bit to this buy. If they do lose this round, really only Weirdo and J-Bro will be able to get rifles. The other ones won't really be able to. It's all riding on this for Eternity to get the next round off, I feel. as Complexity is ready to rotate in, they're in the same boat. If they don't get this round off, they're just going to sink lower and lower economy-wise. We do see a great use of a clone projector from Eternity, getting info peeked out, but the nade takes down the clone, unfortunately, so no one's going to see it. Drone goes out, sees Ninja Tim, sees Weirdo, they push back into point, and now Complexity does have full control of the back hallway, and Drone does see the trip. Some great information for Complexity. They're able to push in as much as they really want to currently. They're also trying to split up to the defenders. We see Ninja Tim shooting at Kingly, nearly taking him out through the wall. Jay the Hot Indian pushing back through the vent as Ninja Tim takes out Kingly. Weirdo gets pushed in on, but takes out Jay, and now it's a 3v5. The flanks just barely did not pay off.
Yeah, ooh, a nice pickup there from Keone as they back off from the incendiary coming their way. Foamy is put onto the wall at B, and the play definitely going to be towards B as Kekro watches the flank. A nice Ensign catches Keone out. Quickly down to 2. The incendiaries and utility been a huge staple for both these teams, like you said earlier, connecting and forcing these teams out of defense. What a connection from Ninja onto the headshot, and a nice long-range connection from Lynx to back them up for the duo to come out on top. Eternity are in good form here. And, you know, I wasn't sure what we were going to see this afternoon from this Eternity squad. Again, looking at that matchup history, they actually have a negative record so far this season, down 2 and 3. But maybe that's more a reflection of who they've played rather than their overall outcomes of the games played. Complexity, meanwhile, 4 and 3, a positive record, having a very hard time up against Eternity. And whether this is a bounce-back game or what, Eternity is looking solid right now going into, you know, the back half of the season. We're almost halfway there with week 6, which is kind of crazy to think about. Time flies when you're having fun. But are we on week 6? I get it mixed. I think we are. Yeah, week 6.
Yes, we are.
Which is crazy. I still can't believe that. But you know, it's season's moving fast, and eventually we'll be into that postseason where these teams will be competing for a second, third, and you know, the prestige, the prizes. There's a lot on the line at the end of the day that I'm very interested to see. You know, who will be in our top 8 come end of season 4, because it's been quite a decent shake-up at the top with some new teams jumping in, like Complexity here.
Yeah, I mean, and also thinking about it, you know, I want to talk a little bit. Con is really only about 15, 16 weeks away.
Yeah.
It's coming up on us pretty quick. You can get your tickets now. You can get in there. It's going to be a fantastic event.
Oh, yeah.
Getting ready to get into it. We do have Ninja Tim on the back hallway. Might get utiled out if he's not careful. Incen does come back, does not take him out. Complexity getting wallbanged already. Catgirl nearly going down to some wallbangs. Kingly also nearly going down to some wallbangs. A lot of trades back and forth, but Jay does take out Ninja Tim through his own domain. Takes out Ninja Tim, but Lynx pushes out, gets the refrag on Jay. Trading health a good bit back and forth. You don't know really who's going to win. However, Eternity has the health advantage squarely in their court so far. Can Complexity get this back with some good utility usage?
Yeah, pretty aggressive play to get up there and get rid of the Marui, push it back into their defensive corner so that it can't be picked up by the opponent. And maybe it was worth it at the end of the day. We'll see, but it cost a little bit of HP from Kingly. They should be able to heal up with their HP syringe, so end of day may not be that impactful, but it is a 4v4 here, and everyone tucked into B site waiting for this push.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like any gun you can get is really important. Sparks takes out Ibis, Lynx takes out Catgirl, Weird takes out Keone, and Sparks. Can he get the 3K onto Kingly? Kingly, again, is on a 1v3. This has been a trend so far. Now getting triple pushed, and J-Bro takes him out with a blind fire. We see these triple pushers from Eternity. They use their numbers very well. We don't see them 1v1ing or 2v1ing. They go 3v1, all the numbers they have.
As soon as they recognize the advantage, they're putting their pedal onto the gas. And some teams you'll see at even a high tier won't do that. They prefer to stay disciplined, tucked in, hold their line. Other teams have sort of developed this strategy of counter aggression. Once the advantage is there, then press the advantage, and oftentimes works when executed well. I think we're seeing Eternity execute really well this afternoon, which is leading to what is a potential perfect half on defense. 5-0 right now. the last chance for Complexity to get their foot in the door and not have everything come down to a pistol round for the series decider.
Yeah, it's got to be rough, especially on the mental for Complexity, to come off a 7-1 loss and now have the potential to go for a 6-0 half. It's got to be rough, and especially you're looking at the economy. Currently, J-Bro could buy a rifle for himself and the other team. Weirdo could also maybe as well. Lynx could buy the other team a rifle. There's a surprising lack of utility, however, from Eternity. They haven't bought out all of their utility, I believe. Never mind, they did. I am just completely wrong. 2 clone projectors in green hallway. You're going to be watching. We haven't seen the clone projector get too much use so far during this matchup. Actually, an A-point push from Complexity. This might work out as all the utility is basically focused out, but Jay pushes out, gets triple pushed by Weirdo, Ibis, and Ninja Tim. They look to push in, take out one. Keone takes out Ninja Tim. Ibis gets stuck in the corner. Kingly takes out Lynx. Suddenly, it is a 1v3. How did this happen?
My. It's the perfect half for Eternity. 7-1 map 1, 6-0 on their defensive half map 2. They're looking for a pistol round win here to lock in their series dub, and everything relying on Complexity coming away with a perfect defensive half themselves. They need to win 6 rounds in a row in order to be able to compete up against Eternity on the offense, and well, that's going to be pretty tough with how good Eternity looked on their last pistol round push. If they can lock in here, then I'm very curious to see what level of aggression they're going to go for. And if they do send it on this outer side here, they could be going right into what is a pretty stacked Complexity defense.
From what I've seen, Nightfire, I think Eternity is going to go for a hatch push onto A, which can be a risky endeavor. We've seen it not work for them before. We've seen it work really well for them before. It's really a coin flip for me. Against Complexity's defense, just from what I'm seeing, I think it'll work out well as long as they do it quickly. They need the element of surprise, and right now they're on a timer. We have Jay going upstairs towards the hatch. We're going to see if they check their corner. Eternity is ready. They hit it out. Jay turns, takes down 2 with the collat. That's really good for his team. They need to get to A now. You know, they need to rotate to A. They're on A. Kingly's on A. Keone's on A. Sparks is on A. They're ready on the hatch. Now is the time for Eternity to decide whether they're going to stick to the hatch or if they're going to rotate to the stairs. I think a rotate may be called. And just ready to throw a nade down. Weirdo is extremely low health. This is a dangerous situation for Eternity. They can still get this off, but Jay with that roam to the top floor was a really good idea.
Pretty huge. At the end of the day, a lot of collateral damage from one player inflicted onto the entire team. And that's maybe what disadvantage of stacking too hard. Is that if you're all in a line like that, sometimes one bullet can do more than just one player worth of damage. So nice job there. Good pickups. And pretty much a 2v4. You know, Weirdo with a slice of HP is a pistol. They are 8-0. Haven't died yet. That could change here in what could be another lifeline for Complexity.
How lucky is that for Jay on that push that Eternity were all stacked in a line? If Jay had the right angle and got lucky enough, he could have gotten a 5-person collat if he just barely had the right angle. We're seeing a big split push from Eternity. Ninja Tim is the only one with full health, and he's all the way on the other side of the building. Meanwhile, Kingly is inside the B point alone. I just feel maybe having the player with the lowest health be the distraction might be a good idea. He might get utiled out. EMP is going to go down. Lynx is extremely low. Smokes it out so Weirdo can get around, but Ninja Tim is stuck on the other side of the building. If Weirdo gets taken out, Complexity has free range to defuse. Weirdo takes down 1, gets taken down, but Ninja Tim needs to move.
Still a crouch.
Ninja Tim needs to run.
Now running, EMP defuse coming through, and what a way to win the round. Complexity locking it in with the kill at the end from Keone, and they stay alive. The pistol round doesn't decide their fate. They get another chance.
I think in that case, Eternity may have rushed it a little bit. You saw the wall blow, they go to plant, but there was still a minute and some change left on the clock. They could have waited for Ninja Tim to get more ideal positioning onto A. That was a great play from them. They just barely didn't use the split. But I think they can make use of it. And, you know, I've talked to some of the casters about this before. On a 6-0 lead or a 5-0 lead, it takes one mistake. You know, Eternity needs to make one mistake. Sorry, Complexity needs to make one mistake to lose the series. Yeah. Eternity has to make 5 in order to get to OT. So they have the time, they have the patience. If they really wanted to, they could afford to go full pistol round on this in order to get full rifles. But the difference is you won't be able to get as much money in the future, and you're really setting up Complexity. We saw a few teams nickel and dime their way to a loss like that. Empire, I don't know if you saw this matchup. Empire lost a 6-0 lead to 0. Oof. They were 6-0. They lost 6 in a row and then lost the OT round to go down 7-6, which has to hurt. But it's because they let Zero snowball just so much on those rounds. And now we do have Sparks waiting on a good split defense from Complexity. Can they get it off? Weirdo is doing a great distraction play for his team, trying to make sure that they think it's going to be a push onto B rather than A. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is slowly crouch walking over. Sparks seems to suspect something. And now he retreats back into point, tells his team they rotate over to the point. Can they get in fast enough? A great wallbang from Keone will already take down one of the players, and it's Ibis. Lynx pushes in, takes out 2.
Ninja Tim trying to swap weapons, costs them their life, and Jay scoops up the 3rd, and blinking you'd miss it, but a double kill from Keone ends everything. I think it was a 1-2 punch from the Oral to the heads of both players left alive there. Complexity up to 6. The economy of Eternity kind of in shambles. They're going to keep half buying their way through until eventually their loss bonus comes in to be enough to buy a proper kit, and maybe that'll be good enough. But on the other side, Complexity getting healthier and healthier, although as I say that, they're spending everything they do get, and that makes sense. Again, they don't have a chance, you know, if they do lose, then the series is done, so you might as well just keep spending all your dollars, you know, unless you're trying to be real confident and save for a rifle next round. But at that point, you might as well try and steal it from your opponent. I don't know. There's a lot of other options there. So, and to your end too, you know, Eternity have a long lifeline. They don't really need to win right now. They can kind of mess around with SMGs for a round or two, see how things go, maybe get lucky or maybe not.
And Eternity, we're seeing them pick up SMGs again. They're trying to snowball their economy. Complexity, we see Catgirl actually pulling out a Knut, the first shotgun of this matchup. Arctic Green Hallway is a rough place to have a shotgun. You need to have the circumstances line up just right to get a good kill. Rocking the hot dog skin. I like that skin. It's a good one. Meanwhile, Eternity is very spread out. 2 players on kitchen. Jay is stuck in between 2 windows. Pushes down. J-Bro takes out Jay. Kingly gets taken out by Lynx. They're pushing through on to Mess Hall as Lynx foams up the B wall. Sparks blind firing out of the wall. Gets a few hits. Not too much. Catgirl is in Green Hallway with that Knut, trying to get any hits off they can. Nade goes back, pushes Catgirl out into Green, but gets the kill off on Weirdo. Tries to push through on Green as well. Ibis might get killed. Ibis gets taken down. EMP is down. Catgirl is surrounded. Takes out another one. 3K, 4K. 8th potential with the Knut. Catgirl proving me wrong in spades in Green Hallway, taking 4 kills in a row.
What the heck just happened to Eternity? Confident in control in the lead, 5-3, wall open, damage getting dealt, and then suddenly Catgirl on the corner reveals their claws, and the Knut comes to life. Could it be the
Here
ace?
They come!
It is!
Ace! Proved me wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong on that, Nightfire. I was saying, you know, Knut, not very good on Green Hallway. You have to have the odds line up just right. And Catgirl just completely got that off in spades. Oh, my goodness.
How does, I mean, literally, like I said, sometimes crazy things happen at the top tier because these players all pretty skilled at the game, and any one of them on the team can step up and ultimately win rounds. That's what Catgirl just did right there with the ace with a shotgun. A 1v5 goes her way, and now we're into a 3-6 Eternity finally full buying for the first time in this half, but Complexity definitely in control.
I don't know if I would full buy in this case. You're still up 3 rounds, but I think they're feeling a little bit of the pressure because if Complexity gets another round, they're going to keep snowballing on their economy, and I feel like Eternity doesn't want an OT round because looking at the points, if Complexity continues on this path of winning rounds, they will actually be able to choose their side, which is really important for those OT rounds. Clone gets taken down, Jane gets taken down with a frag as well, but does get healed up. These clones already getting put to good use after being legalized. Already drawing out some gunfire from Eternity. They're new enough that there's not meta placements really just yet that'll allow people to know, okay, this is going to be here definitely. So people can put them to good use if they're not careful. Gabriel is ready to push in. Might get taken out by some trips if they're not careful, as Drone did get taken down pretty much immediately. They smoke out the trips. Ensign goes down, making it so Gabriel can't push through. Lynx trying to fire it out. I feel like Eternity just putting out some feelers, trying to figure out where the defense is from Complexity. Will they figure it out in time?
They're holding down the smoke here, so it's going to be tough for Catgirl to pop out. J-Bro could have gone down there, but they're quick enough to snap to catch Catgirl through the tail end of the smoke. That could have spelt doom for the Eternity squad again, but now with the ace dealer dead, maybe they got themselves a bit of a chance.
Kingley pushes out, takes out Ibis. Might get taken out by Weirdo as Weirdo checks his corner, pushes into the point. J-Bro takes out Jay. 2v4 to decide this, but one gets taken down. Keone ready on the box. J-Bro is extremely low health. Ninja Tim tries to push in, can't get it off. J-Bro is on the back hall, will be healing up. Eternity's able to collect themselves. 2v2. Vezin and Marui versus double Marui. Stims on both sides. Sparks is holding a smoke, which can be good utility. Can Keone get this kill off? Takes down J-Bro. And what's really nice there is they didn't decide to push their luck. They didn't overcommit to the peak. We see this from a lot of players. They get one kill, they overcommit to the peak and get taken out by the refrag. Keone got the frag, decided, okay, we're up on numbers. I'm going to pull back into the point and preserve this.
Oh.
And the crossfire takes down Ninja Tim.
Maybe the worst spot Ninja could have put themselves right in between both players left alive, and Complexity is getting danger close now. Maybe it was fun in games losing the earlier rounds because they were feeling so good about going 6-0. But Complexity are in a good path right now to take a 6-0 defensive half themselves. And Eternity buying into a partial buy here does mean that the next round they'll full buy. But yeah, it could come down to a 5-6, could come down to overtime here in map 2.
I'm excited to see it, honestly. We saw Complexity going down a little bit on performance, but they've really collected some steam.
Yep.
I'm excited to see that, they're not laying over, they're not rolling over and just giving up.
Yeah.
They're really playing their A game, and now a full buy, 4 Maruis, 1 Vezin for CQB. Meanwhile, like I said, Eternity full committed to that last round. They don't have a lot to work with. They have a single Vezin, and the rest are on SMGs. So this could be Complexity's chance to get it back. They just need to keep playing smart like they have been. They need to not overcommit, especially with their rifle. They're up on rifles, they're up on economy. They just need to press their advantage.
Good pings, identifying several of those defenders there. Like I said, the clone is out and getting information as Jay tucks back in, and finally, eventually, the drone goes down, and this push resumes towards B.
Jay's ready on the back hallway. He might get naded out. Very aggressive back hallway push. Lynx pushes up, and Jay did not have his gun up. Shoots at the one behind the box. Catgirl tries to get a kill off. Barely can't take down Lynx, and Lynx gets the frag, but gets taken out by Keone on the refrag. 3v4. Very low health. Keone needs to be careful. Eternity trying to form up. They had their offense broken a little bit, but now they're up on numbers. Nade goes into the back. Weirdo goes down a good bit of health. However, Plant is ready to go down on the wall. A lean plant from J-Bro avoids all the utility and will get it off before dying to the incendiary.
Another kill from another Ensign. The Ensign's doing work on these corners here as the duo Sparks and Kingley have to retake EMP. Do or die for them. They need to clutch these kills. There's one for Kingley. full HP and charging towards Ibis, who finds another, and Ninja finishes things off for Eternity. That's map 2 into their pocket. That's the series getting locked in, and Eternity come out on top with a quick 2-map series in this best of 3 plague, but not for lack of trying from Complexity there on Arctic.
Yeah, well done from Complexity. They played very well. They almost got that back. I have to say, I almost think it was maybe the utility that fell apart a little bit. They threw out that incendiary just a little bit too late. They threw it out after the EMP was already halfway planted, and so they were able to get the EMP plant off, and that kind of spelled their doom. But I think Complexity can get this off in the future, you know, after maybe just a couple more, you know, just working out a little bit of the kinks. And Eternity as well. Both teams playing very well on these matches. Do you have any closing thoughts on it, Nightfire?
No, just watching through the replays, a fun one to tune into this afternoon, and what you'd expect from 2 top-tier teams duking it out in the afternoon on a Wednesday. As we look at the matchup history, they'll settle into their new win-loss records of both being even. Complexity 4-4 and Eternity 3-3 so far in season 3. We're in season 4, week 6. Gosh, it's hard to keep track. We do appreciate everyone stopping by, though, and a reminder again to go to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon. You can get all the information about VRMLCon this year, being held July 25th to the 27th live in Phoenix, Arizona at the Arizona State University Media Immersive Experience Center, the Mix Center. It's a really cool venue. We got a great theater, a $20,000 in cash prize pool across multiple tournaments for multiple games, all able to be joined and played in for the qualifier tournaments if you just buy a ticket. Get entry into all 5 qualifier tournaments. So it's a pretty good deal. More information on these tournaments and how many teams will be playing on stage will be coming out soon. So keep your eyes peeled for those videos, those announcements. And if you want to, right now, you can buy your tickets. Just go to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon. Quick shout out as well to, of course, Triangle Factory for developing the wonderful game that we tune into this afternoon. Breachers, they've been a tremendous supporter of the VRML this season and for the convention. It's awesome to have them as a partner. We really do appreciate everything that they have provided the VR esports scene. So a shout out to Triangle Factory, and quick one for HyperX. You're hearing my voice on a Procast S. Great quality mics and headphones. Can't recommend them enough. Use code HXVRML23. I think that still works for a 10% discount in North America. And one for Pro2. We do appreciate them being our longest-term sponsor and supporting the VRML. Great stocks. Check them out. Pro2VR.com. That's it for us on the desk. One last reminder to get your tickets for VRMLCon now, July 25th to 27th. And we'll see you probably this weekend for more games. The network is live with all sorts of action from Veil, Breachers, and new leagues coming. So keep your eyes peeled for those VODs. But until then, my name's been Nightfire, my co-caster Plague. We'll see you all in the future. Stay classy. VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.